moment you heal your self-esteem, you'll have a natural distaste towards things that are bad for you. People who don't love you, people who don't treat you right. How you know your self-esteem is improving is that the moment those people start treating you badly, you lose attraction to them.
The psychologist, teacher, and relationship expert.
What would be your advice to someone who feels like they've got ghosted?
Chances are they're hiding information. Ghosters, regardless of their reason, they're still poor communicators. The best predictor of future relationships is their past relationships. People are their patterns. My number one client is a man who's just been cheated on. The women are cheating on the men.
No.
A lot more than I ever expected.
What's the worst thing to say to someone who's just gone through a breakup?
Well, you knew he was like that anyway, so what's the problem?
What can a woman do to make sure a man doesn't cheat on her?
Have a willingness to walk away when she's being disrespected. That's all it really takes.
Wow. This is without a doubt my favorite relationship episode we've ever done.
The #1 health and wellness podcast.
Jay Shetty.
Jay Shetty.
The one, the only Jay Shetty.
You present such a counterintuitive, refreshing, challenging view on love, and I appreciate it. So let's dive straight in.
Perfect.
I want to ask you, if someone applied your teachings that you're about to share with us in the next couple of hours, what would they overcome?
First thing that they would overcome is their fear of conflict. One of the things that keeps people stuck in relationships is that they have a fear of conflict because it boils down to they have a fear of walking away. And if people understood that the quality of your relationships will vastly improve the moment you exercise the ability to walk away when you're being heartbroken, when you're being disrespected, and when you're being dehumanized, it actually brings out the best in your partner when they know that you have that strength. When you remove that strength from your relationships, what ends up happening is that you attract people who will use and abuse you and treat you terribly because they see that your kindness is going to be your downfall. So I think if you really apply my teachings, the only thing that will happen is that you will have the self-esteem to simply attract people who are good for you and develop a disdain towards people who treat you badly. And because of that, you can select better and you can maintain your relationships in a healthier way.
I love that. So people are going to select better, they're going to attract better, and they're going to stay in the right relationships.
Exactly that.
Let's start with the first one. Most people I speak to feel like they keep attracting people who are unavailable, people who don't want to commit, people who don't have the emotional capacity for connection. Why is it?
It's not what we attract, it's what we entertain. Most people can attract pretty much everybody. Yeah, if we try hard enough, we can pretty much attract everybody. But when we have low self-esteem, we have these personal prophecies that people are supposed to be a bit unavailable, or people are supposed to pay hard to get, or it's normal that he doesn't text back, or it's normal that he doesn't really ask me how my day is. It's normal that he only texts me at 12 a.m. on a Friday night. And because they believe that that's normalized to themselves, they start to accept what's actually not going to lead to a healthy relationship. The moment they figure out not what they're attracting, but what they're entertaining, they can take their power back and say, I'm actually attracting all types of men, but the ones I keep forming an attachment to are the ones that leave me a bit anxious and the ones that leave me worrying what this is and where this is going. Instead of being attracted to that, I start to learn that that is a signal that they've got commitment issues, and all it's going to do is delay my time, delay my ability to get married, delay my ability to, have a family, and so on and so forth. So we can attract all types of men, but we only entertain the ones that will enable you to start a family and a relationship, or whatever your goal is. They enable that. And if they don't enable that, try and lose attraction for them.
Why do we feel more attracted to people who make us anxious and who are unavailable? Why is it that we think that they're the ones worth chasing?
Firstly, if we have low self-esteem, we kind of see as that this is supposed to happen. Nobody's supposed to just overly adore and love us. That's probably not going to happen. It's normal that we get treated like this if that's your low self-esteem. But the other thing is, unavailable men, sometimes they demonstrate the idea of having options and alternatives. Their mystery makes them seem more desirable. And because of that mystery, we assume that they've got something interesting going on. They've got alternatives. There's something about them that's making them busy and making them dismissive. When we really realize that it's actually they're just emotionally immature. They're not this special guy that's got a million things going and his work is taking over and he's so busy. Actually, he's just emotionally immature. He doesn't know how to commit. He doesn't know how to ward off alternatives and just focus on one person at the time. When you realize that it's actually a signal of emotional immaturity than desirability, we actually won't be so attracted to that person who can't communicate in a healthy way.
I think just spot on. When I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, if you want someone like anyone should, who texts back within a decent amount of time, that's not an abnormal request.
And nobody's that busy. I know like men like to say, I'm busy at work, or I've got this going on, I'm that stressed. Completely understandable. But one text to let that person know will enable them to just relax the whole day. But you can't have the emotional maturity or the empathy to just send that quick text. Then that person doesn't understand what it takes to have a healthy relationship, and they're probably not worth your investment.
Obviously, a lot of people these days aren't even getting that far because they're meeting people on dating apps.
Yeah.
And so you're swiping away. You might get into a conversation with 2 or 3 people. First of all, let's talk about this. You're not matching with anyone. Like no one, it doesn't feel like it's going that well. What do you say to men and women who feel like they've been rejected a few too many times and they're losing that faith and ability to feel that there is someone out there for them?
What is the 3M method?
This is a program that I'm launching actually very soon. And here what I do is I teach men just 3 factors on how to have really healthy relationships. First one is mastering yourself. You can never have a healthy relationship without a healthy relationship with yourself. Without self-esteem and self-confidence, there is no point dating. Then you have to master women. Now, women speak a completely different language and men believe them. What they say they want and what they unconsciously reward are completely different. And the final thing is mastering relationships, where you understand communication, conflict resolution, how do relationships work. If you come out of a relationship and you have good memories, good years and beautiful kids, it's not a failure. If relationships you're coming out of it with lowered self-esteem, broken homes, depression, anxiety, those are the failures. And that's where I come in with relationship skills.
Just to be careful on, are you actually not matching, or are you disliking who you're matching with? Sometimes what's happened is because of social media and because of dating apps, we enter relationships with almost like a double standard or a sense of comparison, or comparing people to our algorithms. We're saying, well, if he's not the dream guy, or if she's not the dream girl, if he's not a high value man and she's not a high value woman, we start to look at our matches with a level of like distaste, when sometimes the better thing to do is look at the people who are matching with you and try and see, are they actually that bad? Is there something wrong with them? Or am I just comparing them to a dream idea of a partner that I haven't actually been able to access? I always just think the more you like the person you are, the higher your self-esteem, the more you like people who like you. The fact that the person that are matching you, automatically you start to like them more because they've matched you, because you like you and they like you as well. When you've got low self-esteem, you chase after people that you can't access. So my advice to people is always start with who likes you. Always start with that pool and then home in on that pool and see if you've got similar demographics, values, so on and so forth. But where people go wrong is they glorify the people that they're not matching with and wanting a love that they've never been able to access, and then comparing who they do get matched with these alternatives that aren't really real. So the better thing is to focus on who does and maybe adapt your standards to those people who are actually invested in you.
It's so true. And I feel like what I'm thinking people are going to say is, well, why do I have to settle?
If similarity feels like settling, then maybe your standards are too high. And what I mean by that is I sometimes will meet men who are maybe in their 40s on their second divorce and saying, I don't want a woman with baggage. So I need somebody 25 years old. I don't want women with baggage. Or sometimes I'll meet women who are, not working and they say, I want a man that's an entrepreneur and got 6 figures. But I always just say, shouldn't you be looking for someone similar to you? And if similar to you starts to feel like you're settling, then maybe your standards are a bit inflated. If what you're bringing to the table and what you're receiving, if you're asking for that, you're not asking for too much. But if you're asking for people to fill the gaps in your self-worth, maybe you do need to adapt your standards a little bit. So ask yourself, does similarity feel like settling? If it does, then maybe we need to work on ourselves to be able to access people that we're actually craving.
Yeah, it's so much of what you're talking about is just having awareness and honesty.
I know.
Like there's such a need to be honest with ourselves.
And it's getting harder to become honest with ourselves because we are bombarded with advice from TikToks and advice from, people that are giving advice about never settle, you're somebody's dream girl, or this is a high value woman. So we think that if we get anything less than what our algorithm is suggesting, we're settling. When really, as long as we're matched in terms of values and maturity and where we see ourselves in the future, we're not truly settling. We're just finding somebody who's compatible.
I mean, so many people on dating apps these days, their common experience is being ghosted. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've heard from a million people about feeling like, hey, we were having a good chat and this person just disappeared.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to someone who feels like they've got ghosted?
I would say try and have the reasonable expectations. Unfortunately, in the digital world, people see each other as disposable, and there's very minimal investment. So they don't always feel like they owe somebody an explanation. And usually when they're ghosting, it's either they've met alternatives or they might have just been on the app to buy some time to heal from a heartbreak. They're not truly looking for a partner. They're just looking to kind of heal or kind of recover from some kind of stress that they're going through as a coping mechanism. So if they're ghosting you, try not to take it too personal. But if you've been dating that person and then they ghost you, chances are they're hiding information. Ghosters, regardless of their reason, they're still poor communicators. And whatever the reason that they have for ghosting you, the bigger reason is they're not great at communicating. So try and reduce your attraction to people who can't communicate well.
What are the signs when you are dating someone or you're starting to have those early conversations with people? Do you think people miss but should be looking out for that shows signs of a healthy, positive relationship?
I would say that sometimes the best predictor of future relationships is their past relationships. And one thing I think people kind of forget is that their patterns don't truly lie. And if you meet a man or a woman, even in their late 30s, early 40s, and never been a committed relationship, and you think everything's going well, and for some reason they ghost you or they're no longer in a committed, sometimes that's just their patterns. Maybe they struggle with commitment. Or if you find that these people in previous relationships were always unfaithful, or in previous relationships it never really went past 3 months, chances are people are their patterns. So just try and pay, doesn't mean you judge them completely, but pay attention to if they do fall off and they don't want to commit, it might not be personal. It might just be their pattern in previous relationships where they're just not used to settling down. They don't know how to, they don't have the skills and tools to, so they will find it difficult. Other people, because they've always been in 4 or 5 year long relationships, they only have the habits for long lasting relationships. So even when you've just started dating, they'll kind of treat you like a girlfriend, and it can accelerate into a relationship a bit faster. So their previous patterns is something to pay attention to.
And that second pattern can also be negative. Because you could just get into a relationship too quickly with someone.
Because they're just in those habits.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not actually compatible. They're just in those habits, particularly if they've just come out of a relationship. They might just be in the habit of calling every day, arranging to see you on the weekends, doing all of those things, which feels great. But if they're not actually healed, it will turn into love bombing because they're accelerating the residual feelings from their previous relationship onto you. And it kind of accelerates the relationship faster than what the psychological compatibility is. So you might find yourself catapulted into a relationship by somebody who's just in that habit of doing that. And that can also be a problem.
What are the top 3 things that people you guide and coach and follow you on social media come to you for and say their number one issue is?
Oh, for men, they do suffer from a lot of infidelity. The women are cheating on the men.
No.
A lot more than I ever expected.
What do you guys think? Do you have anything to add on top of this conversation? Please leave your comment below. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you for making it this far. If you like this video, you might want to share it with a like-minded friend. Thank you, and as always, stay blessed.